you certainly end up in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the state of origin. You then have to go to the embassy of the receiving state. If in a state of origin there is no embassy of the receiving state, you have to travel abroad. Costs a fortune, takes time, before you can eventually use your document abroad. With the Apostille Convention, it's a much simpler process. You take the document, you go as part of a one-step process to a competent authority in the state of origin that issues this apostille, which is basically a certificate of origin of the public document. And with that apostillized document, you can use your document abroad. That's it. It's much faster, it's much simpler, it's much more effective. And it comes with a bonus because based on the convention, every competent authority has to have a register. So if you have doubts about the origin of the apostille, you can actually ask the competent authority to check in its register if it really issued this apostille. Now, this was all established in 1961, before the internet existed. Nowadays, a lot of this is done in purely electronic form in a number of states already. Electronic apostilles are a reality. Sorry, you have a question. It doesn't have to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Every country is free to decide who it is. Some states have one competent authority. For example, India has one single competent authority within it for a huge number of population. But then they have these regional certification authorities, and it's basically then an apostille on the regional certificate that you issue. But other states have several competent authorities. Federal states have typically one in each unit. Some states have designated a competent authority for legal documents, another competent authority for civil status documents, or another competent authority for educational documents. You can do as you wish, Everything comes under the Apostille Convention. Everything comes under the Apostille Convention. Everything that is a public document in the sense of the domestic legislation of the state of origin. That's the only legislation that's competent to designate what is a public document. And it's a popular convention, as I said, within ALCO, because we already have 19 ALCO member states that are party to the convention, and we are hopeful, and our colleagues from Thailand are smiling that this list will soon become longer with Thailand and hopefully also a few others joining the convention. Because of its huge use, we don't know exactly, but we reckon that there are about 35 million apostilles issued every year around the world. This is probably the most applied private law convention there is. 35 millions of apostilles around the world every single year. So that's a lot. So much so that we have asked an external office also to assess the economic benefit of the Apostille Convention, and that was estimated to be over €500 million annually for the contracting parties to the convention. That is, I think, a very significant argument in favor also of the convention. It's mostly in form of time saved, because the apostille process, of course, is much faster and efficient than the legalization chain. So it is this time that government authorities, but also the users, save, that is hugely beneficial. And that study was done a couple of years ago, and in the meantime, 10 other states have joined. So the economic benefit is probably even bigger when you consider in particular that China has joined as well, and Canada and a few others. So big states that have in the meantime also joined the convention. So much so also that the business ready report of the World Bank or the IFC, the International Financial Finance Corporation, in its new business ready thing, which replaces the old doing business report, which has been criticized. So they did a new thing, business ready, and that has a whole methodology underlying that report. Well, in the methodology underlying the business ready report, there is an explicit reference to the Apostille Convention and the so-called EAPP, the electronic apostille token. What this basically means is that the World Bank considers the apostille convention to be an essential element of the legal framework that states have to have in place for there to be an effective legal regime for cross-border trade and commerce and foreign investment. This is what the convention does. And the same report, by the way, also mentions the Judgments Convention that we talked about. And in this year's update of the Business Review report, the Choice of Court Convention will also be included. So there you go, the recognition, as it were, from the World Bank is explicitly mentioned in this report. So I said earlier this morning during my statement and also at the opening that the HCCH really stands for effective multilateralism, practical multilateralism. One way to measure that effectiveness is by looking at the number of ratifications or accessions to our conventions. We call these things treaty actions. Well, as we speak, we have had 1,038 treaty actions, ratifications. That is only since the 1950s, not going back to 1950, but since the 1950s, since the modern times, 1,038 treaty actions. That in itself, I think, is a reflection of the effectiveness of multilateralism, reflecting the fact that these are living, practical conventions. And I find that number in itself, which keeps growing, impressive. But I think it becomes even more impressive if you try to ask yourself, how many bilateral agreements would it actually take to establish the same network of treaty relations between states, trying to achieve the same result that we produce on the basis of multilateralism, try to do that on a bilateral basis? Well, you would need more than 33,000 bilateral agreements to do the same. And that shows how much resources states save if and when they become an active part of this multilateralism. This is where you save human resources, financial resources, if you are an actor and a beneficiary of that international, of multilateral produced by the HCCH. Out of these 1,038 treaty actions, by the way, 118 come from ALCO states, and again, we hope that this will increase. So to wrap things up, really, we have learned that we need to make a distinction between being a member of the organization and joining HCCH conventions. Only members participate in this legislative work that we produce. Only members are invited to these sessions, shape global dialogue and consensus, an absolute keyword for all the work that we do. Only members, therefore, have a seat at the table where they can share their experience and their expertise, which is really, really important. And I would like to see particularly the African voice strengthened in these negotiations. And very importantly, only members have this priority access to technical assistance. If you want us to help you train judges, operators of conventions, government agencies, what have you, we can only provide that to members. So for a cheap price, you get a lot of benefit back, because that is really an important aspect of the membership as well. Joining conventions is fine, but you only benefit from these practical tools, and you can engage in these best practices that we have mentioned before, but you don't get the benefit of the members. So my call today really is an invitation to all ALCO states to join in building this global law, advancing universality and inclusiveness. We have a strategic report for the period 2023 to 2028, which specifically mentions Africa as a core region that we need to develop our visibility in, so as to be truly universal and inclusive in all that we do. And with that, I thank you. If you have any other questions, I know we area. Please.
Just a quick one, because I just wanted to know how this works in practice, especially when it comes to these international conventions. For example, the one about adoption and child support. Different member states have different regimes, different requirements, different basis. So, are the member states then required to harmonize their laws and approximately what is provided for in the convention in order to achieve the fair outcome, or otherwise, how does it work once you sign up?
So again, we need to make a clear distinction between substantive law and private international law. Private international, think of private international law as road signs or traffic signals that basically tell you in a cross-border situation between, say, Uganda and the Netherlands, you wonder which court has jurisdiction, the court of Uganda or the Netherlands or maybe another. There is this traffic sign, private international law, that tells you it's the court in Uganda that have jurisdiction. Same for applicable law. Which law is it? Could be basically any law, right? I have to look at my private international law. It's the law of Uganda that applies. Once I have a judgment from Uganda, what can I do with it in the Netherlands? Oh, I have to look at private international law to see what I can do. So it's like a bridge, but of course you will have to make sure that your private international law doesn't is in line with the convention, or depending on your constitutional regime. Also, if international law trumps domestic law, then you're basically fine. But in the course of the negotiations, we hear all the different approaches to these private international law questions, and through consensus, build a solution that is acceptable to all members involved in the negotiations. Some, yes, will have to amend their private international law so that it's not in contradiction with the convention, but for most, it's basically just joining the convention and you're good to go, because again, it has very little impact on your domestic substantive law. It doesn't change your commercial code, your family code, your code of procedural law, your code of civil law, anything, because private international law is only this traffic sign, this road signal that tells you where to go or what law to apply. But what that law is your domestic law. It's your substantive domestic law that is unchanged. Does that answer your question? Because it's an important aspect.
Like most Muslims, they're allowed to get like a second marriage and third marriage and third husband. So if she gets like 4 wives in one country, suppose in Pakistan, and he goes, can another country can recognize all those 4 marriages and children?
There are a number of cases in Europe where, for example, the 4th wife has claimed alimony in the state, and without recognizing the marriage itself, because that would be against the ordre public in a number of states, they have recognized the entitlement of the 3rd or 4th wife to the alimony, and so alimony was recognized as well without recognizing the marriage. So these things exist, and you have various approaches to it. But that's the beauty of private international. Think of it as a bridge to connect jurisdictions, but at both ends of the bridge, it remains largely unchanged. But that's why you have exactly. But commercial law is maybe less prone to all these different values, right? That's why you need to add control, have been successful in harmonizing commercial, the substantive commercial, but you will still have enough of commercial even that cannot be fully harmonized, and for that you will always need to invest in private international law to designate what law fills the gap that may be open. But unification, of course, also happens with substantive law, in particular in the field of commercial law, but not so much in capital, because there the values are such that you can't. So thank you again. I think the session is
how can I use the printer?
Just insert the USB on the side. See, there is a on this side, this side. See on the side, yeah.